Seconds. Hi, this is Jane Hoffman from Political Gravity. We're doing a traditional show tonight because we got we got hacked on my land computer through TalkShoe that also tried to steal credit card information from me 2 weeks ago and make purchases. So now I bought ad blocker and we're back on live. So I'm just going to hit this light here a minute because it's too bright in here. Don just got back from a long trip and he went to his native state, Wisconsin, and then traveled down to Chicago, Illinois to see the Obama Center and attend the NAACP convention. So Don, why don't you tell us a little bit about the theme this year for the convention?
Hello, everyone. We had our annual NAACP convention, and our motto was simply "We People," and that's because the country is being split, and that's them and us. That's not even black and white. It's all green.
Is it economics?
It's all economics. Everybody's in the same boat because the oligarchs need the money that from a pool that has the money. So people don't understand that that money is only available in upper middle income classes. So that's what they're targeting, and that's why everybody needs to be scared unless you have a real nice income. But we went to Chicago for that, but I also had a vacation with my family too. 4 of my grandkids, I have 9 grandkids.
Did you guys drive? Did you fly or drive?
It was so wonderful because I travel quite a bit, and we got one way each way. So it was wonderful that go down and go back without having any stops. So that was one of the things that we did, and we were able to see a lot of Chicago. Went to Milwaukee to see some of my relatives, my niece and sister-in-law. So I was able to see some of the things that have changed, which is not a lot. But
I don't think it's changed much in the Milwaukee, Kenosha area.
Well, that's where we kind of went around. We had someone that we saw and Racine, and so we were all around there, and then all around the northern part of Illinois, Waukegan, and then all of the Chicago area, Oak Park, everything, all around there. So we were able to see some of the, like Frank Lloyd Wright's building. My daughter, who was with us, went to DePaul. We were able to see around, go around DePaul, and then the L train. We took quite a bit because we had to go to O'Hare, and we stayed in an Airbnb downtown. So we had to take the L train back and forth to O'Hare quite a bit. So we were familiar with the L train after we left. So it was an educational experience for everyone. I got to go back home in Wisconsin, see some of my family, and then go back down to Chicago and just enjoy it as a tourist instead of.
Was Kelly there?
Yes.
Did she? I thought she went somewhere like Notre Dame. Did she go to DePaul?
Yeah, she went to DePaul Law School.
Okay.
She went to UNI here.
Is DePaul a Catholic university?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I'm becoming a Catholic in about a month. I'm taking my first communion.
Good luck.
I'm inviting people to come to the communion.
Well, I'm.
Your wife is Catholic.
Yes, well, I went to Marquette, and so I know some of the insides of Catholicism, not just the outside, the praying and the praising of the glory, but they've got some major problems with their system.
Did you know that there's more this year, ever since Pope Leo became Pope, there's more Catholics than there has been in the U.S. join?
No.
Yes, it has a record number of people joining.
Well, that's because he has vowed to stop some of the indiscretions of the priests, primarily in the midst. It is immoral, and if I can say ungodly, to be celibate, because.
Okay, John. Wait a second. John's peeping in. Okay, you guys are together on the air. You're both on. Go ahead and finish your thought, Don.
Yeah, no. It does things to people that a person shouldn't have to go through, even if they want to.
Can I explain something? Because let me explain something. I'm joining the Catholic Church, and I hope a bishop or priest isn't listening to me. But I'm kind of doing it for selfish reasons. One reason is because I can join one of their charity orders without any flack. The second reason is I can go to confession. And the third reason is they firmly believe in transubstantiation, where Jesus' wine and bread turns into his blood and to his flesh. But I don't believe in purgatory, and I'm still a Baptist at heart.
There you go. And that's a major part, is that they push purgatory. And I don't know if
they don't push it, but they definitely have a section of belief for that.
Well, that's what confession is about.
They have purgatory because they believe that they have this belief system that some people just didn't quite do so good on earth, and they got to go through one more step to get to heaven, which is technically not biblical at all.
Correct. That's a correct statement. My main thing is with the priests and I have a child. What am I doing? He's 52 now, but we sent him to Catholic school. And
you mean Alfonso? Alfonso?
Yep. And the very first thing everybody tells them, do not stay in a room with a priest alone. And so, especially as a kid.
Well, so Jesus, you can't be like that.
Oh, you can go to hell. They're like that. That's what Leo is cleaning up. He has vowed to clean up the papacy, the clergy, because he knows what.
Well, most of the cleanup happened 10 to 15 years ago, and they're still paying out claims. Now, I have to interrupt a minute. John, you and Don talk a minute. I have to go make myself coffee quick. It'll only take me 2 minutes.
All right. Okay.
I'm losing my voice. I'm losing my voice.
Yeah, I've never. How you doing, John?
Oh, I'm having a great old time. So looks like Jane is ready to join the monastery. put on her little habit and pray to the Virgin. She's going to pray to the Virgin Mary.
I know. I can only see that. I just want to hear her confession voice. You know, like, I thought about it, so did the 5 times, and it's like,
could you imagine how many priests she's going to put out of business?
Yeah. Good point. Now, what were we talking about before? Because there was
we were talking about, just kind of like what was going on politically. Now, from what I understand, the reason that the Democratic Party, or I should say the Democratic Socialists of America, the reason that they are saying that MAGA or the conservative Trump, that they're Jim Crow promoting is because of voter ID. And the issue with Jim Crow was that they made these different tests for blacks after the Civil War, that they had to be able to read and do certain things that most of them didn't know how to read. They were illiterate, so of course they couldn't pass the test, and therefore they couldn't vote. But now they're comparing the fact of requiring driver ID, which 80% of Americans agree with, and which all Americans, I mean, probably 99% of us, we have to have ID to get Social Security, to get a driver's license, to get an apartment, to qualify for housing, everything. Everyone has ID. And they're saying that is Jim Crow tactics, right? That's what they're claiming. That they're going to stop blacks and minorities from voting just because we're asking them to have an ID, even though we require ID, even to enter the Obama library.
I guess I went to the Obama library, and we didn't have.
Were you impressed with it? The library?
No, not really. We didn't go inside. We were just at the gardens and everything, and it's down on 57th, South 57th. So it's in a neighborhood, an area that could use the notoriety.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things that it was just actually. If we get the test due, and we'll probably in the next couple of years, because we had a test, but our flight didn't get in time.
Right. But now the part that it's by is pretty nice, isn't it? Or is it kind of the south side a little bit, gangland or not?
That's what I'm saying. It's bright.
Oh, really? So it is kind of hood.
It is. Yeah, it's in the hood.
Oh, wow. So Barry and Mike, they might go there during the day with security, but then they ain't going there on their own at night.
I don't know. All I know is that it's pretty secure building, and everybody's welcome. So there's no problem with that.
Well, I guess some people like it. Some people think it's the Death Star look.
It is. I mean, it's just. I'm trying to think of an architectural building
equivalent. Yeah.
I really don't see one because it's really thin on the bottom, and then it flattens out, and then it kind of goes in, and then comes back out again.
So it's a little bit top-heavy, curved kind of thing.
Yeah.
Off center, like visually, you kind of go like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I always, with stuff like that, anything like that, you go like, you spend $1 billion for this, right? It doesn't matter what it is. It doesn't matter how good it is. You go, $1 billion for, the new arena or the new bridge, it's like, could we do better? Like I'm expecting, I'm expecting dancing go-go girls to give me a massage and, a lap dance for admission.
That was only during his term as president.
Well, maybe Trump will get that fixed.
No, not Trump.
Rename it like. Is Trump going to redecorate the? Trump's going to redecorate the front in gold leaf and rename it the Trump, the Trump, Melania Center.
Yeah, there you go. And Pam Bondi's going to be the.
Yeah. Yes, Bondi, Pam Bondi. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So yeah, that's her and the other one.
Right.
What was her name?
You mean the what's her name? The national security. The soldier gal. What's the gal that tapped out?
Yeah, she.
Her husband has cancer. She looks like kind of Indianish, kind of like. Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, Tulsi. But I'm thinking of the other one. And you see she's ready to fire Janine Pirro because she's saying that the Washington reflecting pool being destroyed when it was built was vandalized. Trump wants to vandalize it. He wants to have him come back and fix it. And she said that no, it was because of the architecture, the construction company.
Right.
So Trump is mad at her, ready to fire her.
Maybe all the illegals snuck in and did it. You know, they should have the illegals fix it, right? They could do it cheap and under budget. They could fix that pool for nothing.
I know it, and that's what the problem is. Trump doesn't want to pay anybody. He never has.
Oh man!
Half of his employees that were working for him, and there were a lot of them. They were on the same wage.
Well, that's how you make the chips. You know, although I will say, you know, the same thing happened with Barry. He's got major lawsuits, and people went out of business. He wouldn't pay him. And there's a whole big case against him, but you know, it'll get stuck in court.
I'm back here. I'm back in action.
All right.
Nice.
We missed you.
So I wanted to bring,
go ahead.
John, I wanted to bring up one topic, one or two.
Go for it.
I work with a lot of Black people in Duluth. It's a group home, and they're upset about that young Black teenager, 17 or 18, that was supposedly drowned off the shore of Mississippi, and he was with all his white friends, and it's coming out that they killed him.
So what happened? How did he drown?
They claim that he just fell off either the boat or the raft, and the autopsy was somebody toyed with the autopsy.
Oh wow!
It was Nolan Wells, an 18-year-old Black football player who went missing following the 4th of July boat trip on Horn Island at the Mississippi Golf Course, and was found dead on July 6th. And I guess one of the mothers, one of the white mothers, because he was only with white people the whole time, one of the white mothers paid one of the autopsy doctors off. I guess they cut his throat to see if he really drowned, and she paid to remove one of his body parts or something. So it would look like he's still drowned, but he didn't. Supposedly he was killed.
If they cut his neck, how are they going to know if they didn't hang him?
Well, I think what the whole thing is that you know what my Black friend said to me yesterday? I'm never letting my kids hang around white people ever. And I said,
it's interesting. Well,
I told her that was a stretch. That was a stretch to ever say that.
Well, every child in the South that's Black, they train him how to swim with a chain attached to a cement block. So he should have been better trained, I would think.
John.
He's right.
But
you know, that's a shitty thing to say.
Well, it's a terrible thing to do. But no, I mean, I think. Go ahead.
We were talking about how the Ku Klux Klan, John Birchers, Aryan Nation, the DOJ, Department of Justice, has them as the major enemy of the state.
Well, just to recap for Jane, because you were out, I don't know, painting the rainbow on the wall. But basically what we're saying is that the Democratic Socialists of America Party, which is now is, basically what their claim is that because Republicans and conservatives are pushing for voter ID, that's the equivalent to after the Civil War with under Jim Crow. They made all these tests that blacks would have to pass. They'd have to be able to read and pass these tests. And of course, probably over half the blacks were illiterate because they weren't allowed to read. Therefore, it was impossible for them to vote. So I was telling Don, they're trying to equate that the same as having ID, which every black person, every minority has because they need to get Social Security.
Okay, before you
everything we get. Go ahead.
Before you jump into that, some states already have that. Wisconsin, you have to have a form of identification to vote. It's a more conservative.
Right.
But what let's get back to.
Americans are in favor of voter ID. Yeah.
Well, let's get back to Can we talk about Nolan Wells for a minute? Okay.
Why not? Sure.
I want to tell you what the latest update is because it's a big thing with black people. Like they had like so many crowds there, more than they had with the guy in Minnesota who died, George Floyd.
Oh, Floyd, yeah.
Okay, what happened was Nolan Wells. I was gonna read it on my phone, but I'm reading it on here. Okay. So it appears he has his mother looks Asian, sort of. She's not black.
All right.
Okay. Well, he was partying, but with a bunch of white people on an island. 2 people were charged. Oh, I'm so sick of this shit. Threats come into question surrounding the death of the Mississippi teenager who was found dead. Several people with no apparent connection to the Nolan Wells case have been criminally charged with making threats among questions surrounding Mississippi's teenager death. The death of the 18-year-old college freshman brought widespread attention. He was a basketball player. He was found dead. His death heightened. He also
played football. He played football.
Oh, he did? Wells was black and 3 of his white friends were together on a boat. Somebody's phone is really crackly. Can you guys take yourself off speaker?
I will.
The case has prompted speculation on social media, with users questioning whether Wells' death has been racially motivated. One case center alleges that Michelle Francine Edwards of Ohio, she's been charged with 1 count of transmitting threatening communication and interstate comments. Edwards used a block number to call the Chancery office in George County, which includes Horn Island, approximately 21 times in July. She said, "Do not go outside." She allegedly said the clock is ticking and die. I don't know what that means. Court records also allege Edwards made several calls to the sheriff's office in Jackson County, Mississippi. During those calls, Edwards allegedly said, "Y'all got a bomb outside. Don't come outside, bitch," before later saying, "Y'all still in there?" So apparently she said there was a bomb threat and then nobody left. The alleged calls prompted authorities to place the building on lockdown with canine units, and they conducted a bomb sweep. If convicted as charged, Edwards could face 5 years or $250,000 fine. Well, all I know is I heard from the horse's mouth, one of my coworkers, that somebody tried to cover up the autopsy by paying a county examiner money. So, Don, I want to know, and then we'll move on to other things, John. I don't know if I'm up for voter ID tonight, but go ahead, Don. What did you hear about it?
About the young man's death?
Yes.
Well, I I mean, everything pretty much you just said. Throat was cut. Nobody admitted to it, and they were, that it was just a regularly questionable situation. But I used to go on boats and stuff with all white young friends who I thought were my friends of mine all the time. So, going out, trying to teach me how to do things like water ski and fish and all that stuff. And I'm like, okay, we're going to do it. And one of my, favorite things I've told you before was going to the bars in the middle of Wisconsin, in the middle of nowhere, and, messing around with white chicks and then watching the guys trip. And so that happens all the time. But nothing to get your throat slit for.
So
And
I'm watching a Nancy Grace clip, and apparently there were blunt force trauma on the back, and the autopsy report is sealed, and that lady was probably calling to threaten because things weren't going her way. And Nancy Grace was protesting it. Unfortunately, I couldn't find anything written down. I'm just reading the comments.
Well, no problem. All I know is that it's over. They're going to, somebody's going to pay, but these guys are, who knows what it could have been from, because, all I can think of is the gay card. And somebody who doesn't want to run that way, and you're on a deserted island with 2 or 3 or 5 or 10 other dudes that want to do it, that's about the only thing I can think of in this particular station, because everybody shares your drugs. Everybody basically has the same interests in athletics. I think all of them play with each other, football or basketball.
Well, one thing I want to say is that a lot of college kids are getting a lot of extra recognition right now, and because the WNBA is full of new recruits who are excellent. So sports athletes who are between college and their first 2 years in professional sports are getting a lot of attention right now. It's too bad that this kid. I know. I guess Sophie Cunningham is making $320,000 a year, and I know Caitlin has an $8 million contract with Nike.
Yep, and that's above her salary. But these folks they're starting to get interest because they realize that the females are losing out or have been losing out on the athletic end for decades. And, that's a whole segment, a whole new population of people that they can get their pool from. So you're right. It's going to be expanding. And now that we've had the World Cup, then, soccer in general is going to increase in interest. So we've got a lot of things going for us if we want to expand. And the main thing is that the politics, geopolitics, think of it is the only thing that's really slowing us down. We have an opportunity, if we had some peace, and this is where the moderate comes from. And I haven't, like John was talking earlier, I have not said any political party yet. I have not said Republican. I have not said Democrat. I've just talked about the far right, the moderate middle, and the far left. And I haven't even mentioned anything about far left. But it's imperative that everybody starts thinking about moving forward, get more one-minded, about what we can do because we're going into this AI thing blind. Nobody, not even the AI people, know what's coming. And
okay, I would like to mention one more thing about the case. His white friends have been getting death threats, but I'm wondering why they left Horn Island without him. Why did they come back to the United States land and leave the island without their friend?
Because he was dead.
Well, I mean, wouldn't they notify authorities? They came back and he wasn't discovered dead till 2 days later.
They're white young men. They don't worry about the authorities. The authorities don't matter.
Okay, well, I know John wants to talk about other things, so let's all pick a subject to talk about.
Well, just to follow up on it, I don't understand the full story. So apparently they all went as a group to an island, and then he'd been drinking. There's a report he drank heavily. He might have gotten in the water, drunk, and got riptide. But then I'm hearing that they left the island without him. Like, you wouldn't leave without telling his friends or his family.
That's
hey,
what I'm
we have a
saying.
felon, you know. And then the other thing, his phone, I guess, doesn't have records of pictures or something that day. Like, he would be taking selfies and, you know, stuff all the time when you're on a trip. That was his reputation, like that he would normally do that. And then the other thing is, like, was he on a boat and they fell off? Or
yes, they were on a.
There's more information.
They were on a raft because I see one picture of him and his three white friends on a raft, but they covered up the other white guys' faces. Probably because the white guys have been getting death threats.
Well, always bring one black person as a wingman.
No, like I said, the state medical examiner's office, they have not released the autopsy report, and in the meantime, people are livid and there's radicals. They had his body flown from Mississippi to D.C. because his family wanted to make sure that they had a doctor with no ties to Mississippi law enforcement to do an independent examination.
It sounds like they've got to get.
Go ahead.
They've got to get the phone. They have to get the phone records and tracking all the placements of everyone. What was the phone? Where was it at? You know, like, what was the movement? And then other backstories. Was he banging one of the other guys' girlfriend? Was he banging all their girlfriends? Yeah, I mean, and you say, well, you know, that sounds crazy. No, that's how things work, right? You get on a vacation, you're drinking, oh yeah, I bang, you know, or someone accuses him of doing something that maybe he didn't do, and pretty soon, you know, and it doesn't matter what race you are. I know a guy. He's on a Philippines, right? He's on a ship, and he's like, he's not the lead, but you know, he's trying to become the lead. Anyway, the person in charge of the ship, the captain, he sells diesel illegally. Like, he black markets it. So he steals some of the diesel, sells it on the black market, and then he collects the money. And he had a thing of conscience where he was told, if they ask you about this, you know, you lie. You just say, we don't know anything about it. And he has a conscience. He's a Christian. So he said, I don't know. I'm conflicted. You know, should I tell the truth? He said, people disappear on the boat, you know, on the ship, the naval ship. Like, you're out at sea and a guy just disappears. And I said, until you get back on land and you're out of the service and you know someone who's a lawyer or, you know, heavy political person, you don't say anything. Just shut your mouth, because you'll disappear and they don't care, and you're a long ways from home and you have a wife and a kid, and it's not worth it. Like, you don't know anything. I don't know. Because that's how it works.
You did make one point that's relevant, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But first, I want to say one thing that was discovered when the Strait of Hormuz was blocked is that there were some ships coming in that were not on the up and up, and they were doing some kind of underhanded trading with each other. It was not necessarily Iran. It was other, like smaller countries that had ongoing transactions with other countries or other private companies. But yeah, you did hit a good point about a woman, because Trayston Shepard was a good best friend of Nolan Wells, and he told ABC Good Morning America he took a boat back from Horn Island on the late afternoon of July 4th, but Wells stayed behind with a girl that he had just met. So,
Oh boy.
who knows who he was with when he died?
And what if he did the hokey pokey?
They met that day. It was one of those things, but he really did like her, but that was the only time they ever hung out, was at Horn Island on July 4th. So it was a one-time.
4th of July weekend. You got fireworks. You got alcohol. You've got romance. Intrigue. I don't know if the girl was white, but white, black. Possibly a little jungle fever. You got. She's someone maybe.
I'm not saying she was white.
Right, I'm just saying those are the kind of parameters a detective will start to comb through, and you start going, oh, okay, maybe there's something there, or then again, maybe he was alone and depressed because he didn't want to hook up, and he started drinking and walked on the beach and he's crying, and suddenly you fall in the water. There's so many angles to this.
Well, apparently, it now appears after that I'm reading this article that his friends have cooperated with authority after, kind of after the fact, but they have.
Yeah, they definitely need to go CSI with all the phone records, the phone locations, the last time of contact, everything, because there's something somewhere that will tip them off to what really happened.
Well, some of the mothers spoke up too, so. Why don't we come back to this subject in 2 weeks after the autopsy report comes out? Because the thing is that a lot of people are angry at the country. It's kind of like remember the Jena 6 in Texas about 10 years ago, where a bunch of kids vandalized the school, but none of the white kids got arrested, but 6 black kids did, and they were sent to county jail for like a year, and they had to pay the price, but the whites didn't. And it was a big hoopla about 8 or 10 years ago.
Well, the other thing to that is that would it be the same story if they were all white or if they were all black? In other words, this is one story. There's a lot of stuff that goes down, but when it's a mixed group, suddenly it's a black-white thing. And when it's all the same color, like this weekend, I bet you there were probably 10 shootings in Southside Chicago, all black on black. No one's going to talk about it. But if there's a white guy shot a black guy, we're going to be talking about it all week. So I think that's something else too.
Yeah, well, we can't go back in history now. The Jena 6 was covered because there were huge protests across the whole country, and I'm sure Don remembers that case, right, Don?
Yep.
It was. I'm gonna read one paragraph, and then I'm gonna have you guys talk a little more, and we'll end the show in about 15 minutes. The Jena 6 were 6 black teenagers arrested in 2006. So that was a good 20 years ago. God, time flies. In Jena, Jena, Louisiana, and charged with attempted murder after a school fight that followed racial tensions and nooses hung on a campus tree. The severe charges sparked national outrage. The nooses in October 2006, August, a black student at Jena High School said he could sit under a shady tree where white kids usually sat. The next day, 3 hangman nooses hung around that tree. God, how pathetic. School officials treated the nooses as a minor prank, leading to rising tensions. On December 4th, a fight broke out, and a white student named Justin Barker was beaten, suffering a concussion and facial swelling. He was treated from the ER and released the same day. The 6 guys who helped beat him up, Michael Bell, Robert Bailey, Theo Shaw, Carwin Jones, and Bryant Purvis, and Jesse Beard, were arrested. The DA charged the 5 with second-degree attempted murder and conspiracy carrying up to decades in prison. Anyways, the national protest started in 2007, and over 20 to 60,000 demonstrators converged on the small town of Jena, Louisiana, in one of the largest civil rights rallies in America in decades. So that was, I would say that was 14 years before the George Floyd incident. So that is pretty. So I think they did serve a lot of time, but then they got early release, from what I understand. It was 20 years ago, so I can't remember.
Yeah. Well, they say, since Obama, that people's perception of race discrimination has gone up, 20 or 30%. In other words, Obama really started pushing we're discriminated against, we need DEI, and
no, he didn't.
Well, no. Well, we didn't have BLM before Obama. We didn't have George Floyd or any of this stuff going on. It's just what I'm saying is
George Floyd got murdered after Obama left office.
Right, but I'm saying the whole network of DEI, Antifa, all of that. That's not a Trump thing. That's an Obama thing. He started saying, America is a racist country, and we're not a great country. We're not a Christian country. He said that we're not a Christian country. He's the first president to ever say that. All presidents are God bless America. He's like, no, we're not a Christian nation.
Now you're rustling my bones, so I want to pick a point with you. The first point is that Obama, in all of his speeches, especially his inauguration speech, is that we are not black, we are not white, we are not this, we are not that. We're Americans and we're unified.
Until he got elected, and then after that, Michelle started going out saying, "I don't feel comfortable or safe being American. White America, we don't feel, this country is not ours anymore." We can have a whole show on that, but they really started this whole, we're so dissatisfied with white America. But he really did. He even said, Obama, read his autobiography. He talked about, I realized how racist America is because of his grandfather and his father.
Did you read his autobiography?
I read portions of it. I didn't have time to read the whole thing, but the excerpts from it, he talks a lot how he just doesn't feel safe in America, that this America is not the America that it's supposed to be.
Well, it isn't. The country's gone.
Let's bring it back.
The country has gone crazy for more than one reason. First, it started out in 2003 when Bush and Cheney invaded Iraq under false pretenses and made a profit off that war. Then we spent 20 years in Afghanistan. It's not all about race. This country's.
What I'm saying is they base that off of America's great. America, is in God we trust, and these,
Who does? Nobody says that.
Bush said they're going to hear our voice. Remember, at 9/11, he said there. He said, they haven't heard us now, but they will hear us. Basically, we're gonna. It was all a America first kind of thing. Let's bring back, the red, white, and blue. When Obama came into office, it's like this is a new America. Like the old America, we don't. We have to change what America is, right? We have to make it a rainbow White House, right? He changed it from a White House to a rainbow house.
Okay, I would like you to find one speech for me and send it to me on YouTube where he said this is not the America we're used to. So Don,
I'll find a few.
1 minute, Don Gallimore. Don Gallimore, are you sleeping at the damn wheel? Well, let's go NAACP. I want to hear from. Let's have Don the real black join the fight.
Get off the plantation.
I mean, the things that John is saying is not wrong. The Democrats were the Republicans, and the Republicans were the Tories, and then it all changed, and it all changed again, and so we're talking about the changing of symbolism in terms that it evolves. It's simple as that. So yes,
like to that point, see, like the old argument of the Republicans is America's great. Let's bring it back in all its glory. Remember what they're saying with the whole was it 1619 agenda, and like we have to change our whole culture. You ask most college kids, the majority of them will say, "I'm not proud to be American. We're a slave country. That we're still under oppression. That capitalism is bad, and we've got to tear it down." This is what the majority of them are leaning progressive or DSA, Democratic Socialists, right?
I would like to say what my mantra is. I've never been patriotic. I've never once in my life been patriotic. I was.
Says a lot.
I was.
You love America?
No, I do not love America. I was 15 years old.
Why not?
I'm going to tell you in the next clip. I was 15 years old when the Vietnam War ended and 58,000 Americans died. And I'll even admit JFK was partly to blame for that, for letting consultants go into Vietnam after the French left. Secondly, Jimmy Carter took office for a brief period after the Nixon disgrace. And then we had double-digit inflation and the whole Iranian hostage crisis. And then we got good old happy-go-lucky Ronald Reagan, who did the Iran-Contra exchange for selling military hardware to Iran so they could finance Central American wars to put in who they wanted. And then we went from that. Where did we go next? After Reagan in 1988, we had George Bush Sr., who really wasn't too bad in those 4 years, but he said no new taxes and he lied. And then we had the beautiful William Jefferson Clinton, who made me happy as a clam for 8 years. And then we had George Bush Jr., who started a couple more imperial wars, and which killed 250,000 Iraqi people. And we did set up a quasi-democracy there, but you can't set up a democracy when there's no civil society in a place like Iraq that has a traditional religious, theologically based nation. And then after George Bush Jr. left, we got Obama, which was cool for me. And then we got Donald Trump, who went to war against all foundations of society. He's pissed off on every aspect of government. And to me, he's failed in foreign policy. I know you don't agree. So to tell you the truth, I've been an analyst of American society, but I've only been loyal to Finland and Sweden. I'm not loyal to America.
Right. So when Clinton and Obama were presidents, were you proud of America? What the fuck? Or to be an
I
American?
wasn't proud of America. I would say I was more content than I normally is. But Clinton had his share of skeletons in his closet.
So the epitome of where you would want to live is either Sweden or one of those Nordic.
It's not like I want to live there. That's my heritage. I'm loyal to my I'm loyal to my nationality, not my borders.
Right. So even though you were born in America, you feel loyal to a country you've never lived in. But the question is, so you don't love the freedoms, the First Amendment, you don't love the right to bear arms.
I'm thankful that I'm thankful that I spent my whole life never going hungry, even though I was homeless a couple of times and I lived in Catholic charity houses, I never went hungry. I had a bed to sleep in. God, I see Jesus Christ and God getting me through those hard times, not America. I was the only American who didn't get Section 8 when I was in a homeless shelter. A girl from Belize.
Well, it's interesting if you go to Europe, and I can tell you from Christians who live there, you can't openly speak out about your Christianity. It's very secular, very atheistic, very anti-God, and they don't have the freedoms we do because our rights are God-given. And basically, they're powerless countries. They can't, bring world peace or maintain Russia or China or Iran or North Korea. So they are just puppets.
You're only talking about, how about I have my Baptist church. We have missionaries in Myanmar, Estonia, Finland, Philippines, Cambodia. Christians do go all over the world, and Europeans there are European organizations that are Christ-like. The whole theme of Europe, though, is not very traditionally religious anymore. But the only countries where you can't talk about your religion are the ones that you think, like the Saudi Arabias and the Irans of the world.
Well, I have a friend who lives in London. No, you can't, and Canada too, Chelsea. And then in London, we have a gal, her name's Angel, actually. And you can't preach the gospel out there. They will shut you down as hate speech. They will arrest you. And if you go on the internet, you start talking the way you're talking, and it offends someone. Now, in the case of if you're pro-abortion or LGBTQ, LMOP, they don't care. But you start talking Jesus or morality, and they'll arrest you. In Germany, they'll arrest you.
Well, in Canada, they still have churches.
Chelsea's from Canada. She can't preach she's digging America because she can come here and preach and get a speaker.
I know, but they still can go to church in Canada.
Well, actually, during COVID, you couldn't. They shut everything down.
Well, I'm talking about.
Go in public.
I'm talking about just in reality.
You know that they're coming up with laws to shut down the churches in those countries. You know that?
There's 30,000 individual. In Canada, they have 30,000 individual church congregations and worshiping communities nationwide.
True. Well, in China, they have lots of churches too, but they're state controlled, and they monitor it, and then they get the phone numbers and addresses of the people attending, and then those who are radical, they arrest them. They replace them with puppet people who then say whatever they want the state to say. So I do a little research on that.
Okay, they have the largest congregations is Roman Catholic. Behind them is United Church of Canada. Behind that is Anglican Church of Canada. They have the Anglicans have 1,700 parishes. The United Church has 2,450, and the Roman Catholic has over 1 million followers in Canada.
Do you prefer Catholicism over the Protestants of Martin Luther? That they rebelled from
actually, I don't. I don't.
So you preferred when the Catholic Church was killing people if you actually tried to translate the Bible?
What I think is that at 4 years old, I was already memorizing Bible verses, and my composite is that I'm inherently a Lutheran. Like nobody can. It's like a DNA. Nobody can really change that composite in me.
Martin Luther, he's the Protestant, right? That's protesting the Catholic Church, but yet you want to be a Catholic.
It's a long story, and you're just gonna have to accept it at face value. I started researching the Milwaukee 14 in 1991 when my daughter, actually in 1989, I started studying the Catholic Church. So that was Alexis died in 92, 35 years ago. So I'd say 40 years ago, I delved into research. I spent 25 years on a Catholic screenplay where seven priests, one Benedictine monk, and one Jesuit burned draft cards for the Vietnam Wars, and they voluntarily spent 1 year in prison. They waited to be arrested. Just let me finish. Let me finish.
With the Catholic Church, except for the priest, the Pope being the voice of God, confession booth, giving gifts for the dead, baptizing babies, having nuns and priests, and you accept everything except everything that they stand
I accept everything, but I don't personally believe in purgatory.
Oh. Wow.
I do think it's kind of weird they pray for the dead, but now I prayed for the dead a few times since I haven't officially joined yet. I've been in a class for a year, and I meet with my sponsor once every 2 weeks at Perkins, and then we talk.
If the Pope endorses homosexuality or worshiping other gods like this other one is starting to do, are you on board with him violating the Ten Commandments?
I do have something funny to tell you. My sponsor voted for Trump. Guess why?
Because he's Protestant?
No, because the Republican Party protects the Catholic sanctity of life, and they protect the nuns and all the people in the hospitals who don't want to perform abortions or any type of surgery that has to do with morphing your body sexually or having a child die from abortion. So the sanctity of life in the Catholic Church is a huge thing. Like, you're not supposed to do anything that alters God's original plan for you.
That is pretty important to life if you believe in people not destroying what life is or transing it,
And they also are really strong on marriage. Once you get married, you really shouldn't even consider divorce, and you should build it. Whether you have kids or not, you have to stay faithful to your Catholic family and your eternal family, and you should never stray from that. And if you do the rosary 5 times a day, then you're never going to stray.
Well, it sounds like you're in a safe zone, because if you marry someone, you don't have to worry about banging out 5 kids for them.
I'm not at that stage in my life anymore. But I want to tell you one thing about the Catholic Church. They have, in the history of time, I'm talking about maybe the 18th, 19th, and 20th century, like people like Dorothy Day and Peter Maurin and Thomas Merton and Michael Cullen, they gave their entire life to help the poor. Dorothy Day started soup kitchens. Michael Cullen marched across Ireland with a wooden cross to protest wars and Catholic and Protestants fighting.
Yeah.
And a lot of Catholics have laid down their life for the gospel.
That's pretty noble. I think the only problem is it's become...
Did God cut you off?
I'm nice, man.
I didn't hang up on him. He's calling back. Just a second. God cut you off, John.
Sorry, my chin saying it's not the call, but what?
The divine power knocked off your call.
Yes, it's true. So the problem I have with when it's just a social gospel is you feed those babies and they have more. Like, the responsibility of feeding the kids is with the parents primarily, and then what we do is the bonus. So I think, the main thing is get their souls right, so they stop having godless, heathen, children that are just banging around.
No one in the Catholic Church does that. If they're a Catholic, they get married. And by the way, you should read some of the court procedures by Coney Barrett. She's one of the biggest Catholics around.
Wow. Well, I'll have to look
She's
into that
adopted.
if,
She has like 6 kids of her own, and she's adopted like 8 foster kids, and she's a Supreme Court justice. So she's
wow.
Do you know who she is? Amy Coney.
Yeah. Wasn't she the last one that Trump appointed and is disappointed because she kind of flip-flops between conservative and liberal policy?
I don't know about that, but she's a devout Catholic.
Yeah, I think she was the last one because they had a big problem with what's his name, Kavanaugh, and then after that he went with with the Barrett, and then he was expecting her to be a little bit more MAGA, and she's been a little bit more kind of middle of the road. You never know. You flip a coin. And then there's the Jackson, I think, the Biden appointment, and she's just like left Looney Tune all the way.
But she's not in there, is she? She's not in there, is she?
Oh yeah, the black sister, the very last one that Biden appointed, and she's far left.
Oh, I know who she is. Her name's Ketanji Brown or something like that.
Yeah, Ketanji Banji.
Okay, so Barrett, I want to read one thing to you, and then I'll let Don do his conclusion.
He's gonna do his obituary.
Amy Vivian Coney got married to a Barrett. She's a protege of Anthony Scalia. She supports textualism and statutory interpretation. That means she follows the course of what was done by her predecessors. She is considered to be on the conservative bloc, but she has a growing pattern of independence and moderation as a swing voter. So in other words, you're right, she has strayed off the path. But I know she has at least 2 or 3 foster kids. And she has like 6 kids of her own.
Right, instead of voting orange, she sometimes is voting blue instead of red.
She has 7 kids, and I think a few are adopted.
Wow.
So and by the way, Pope Leo, he is going to be one of the major players in the next 3 years, so keep an eye on him.
Oh, I will. He's the beast.
He is not the beast. The beast has orange face.
Yeah, but he has claws and he has wings and a black cape.
Bill Maher said this week that he's going to fall on his face in the November elections.
That's possible, I guess.
Okay, so
I think Trump will do what he needs to do before then.
Don, will you do your conclusion now?
Okay. I just came back from Chicago. I was by the WNBA. I met at the Wind Trust Center. And like I said earlier, at another show that we had, because we've got about 3 shows right now. But
very funny.
Yeah, we need to.
Well, me, John, and Suzette had a beautiful episode on Talk Show, and then I asked. Suzette said that I was I paid $2 on my debit card to a phony website within Talk Show, and then they try to keep taking $30 from me, and then my whole Chrome system got hacked, and now I just had to buy an ad blocker for $4 a month. So next week we're going back on Talk Show.
Okay, well, what's that got to do with my conclusion?
Because you said we've done 3 shows tonight.
Oh, we've done 3 shows tonight. But anyway, what I was saying earlier was that we need to come together to progress. All these diverse interests and people putting up false claims on everyone, and now AI is exacerbating everything by putting out content that is actually unbelievable, and it's faulty. So we need to come together and start moving forward because moving side to side, that's not going to allow us to be stable and be prepared for the future. I mean, people, everybody, I mean, all these stupid ass conspiracies and shit, they're probably true, but we need to fucking leave those things alone and still come together, make decisions that are good for the people and move forward instead of all the diseases that just cause us to be stagnant or go back. That's my conclusion.
Okay, and just before you jump in, John, I wanted to tell Don that I had to delete my account on TalkShoe and create a new one because of all the hacking.
Well, that hacking is, we didn't have it when we had the telephones. So that, it started the computer. Just keep it as simple as possible.
Are you talking about land phones with cords?
No, we've always been on the internet, on phone.
Well, okay. When I did Blog Talk Radio, it was super easy because I had a studio and all I had to do was click to let you guys in. Now, TalkShoe is similar and it's free, so I shouldn't complain. But unfortunately, I got a virus. And I between the time you guys hung up and between the time that I started the show on YouTube, I fixed it. So I am going to be moving August 22nd. And it's.
I was worried about you.
Yeah,
Are you saving significant money?
I'm the epitome of happy Democrats. I'm moving into public housing.
Beautiful. So you're on an Obama rent.
My rent is gonna be $631 a month, and I'm gonna live in a high rise, and it overlooks Lake Superior. And I'll send you guys a I'll send you guys a picture.
How much was your rent before?
I was paying $1,050, but I had a roommate.
Right. So now you don't have to depend on anyone.
So now I got a creepy stalker the last time I advertised for a roommate. So I just decided, no, I'm not going to have a roommate again. And then the housing authority came up at the perfect time in the summer when you don't have to worry about snow and I can move. And my brother-in-law is coming up to Duluth to help me move.
Okay.
That's beautiful.
So John can already see the picture of my apartment view on Facebook, but I'll have to send one to Don.
Okay.
That'll be nice.
So, John, what's your conclusion about Nolan Wells, the Jena 6, and all the other stuff we talked about tonight?
My conclusion is choose your friends wisely. Like in my case, I like my friends like ice cream. The majority of them, I like vanilla with sprinkles of chocolate here and there for some flavor. Actually, I've had a bad experience with the other culture. I mean, my biggest losses lately have been with the African American community. I mean, significant. Like I'm going to lose $22,000 on my last deal. Mr. Brooks, I lost $30,000. When Slicky had a girlfriend, a married ex-wife, she was living with us. She was paying rent normal for 3 months, and she started stiffing me, and I couldn't say anything because it's his wife, and I don't want to get thrown out, and it's like it was a mess. So she started at 7, and she kept cutting it down 100, so she was down like 200 a month, and I finally said, I just can't cover you because he's expecting that money coming in, so I'm faking it, And so, and Denise Robinson and her mom, they stiffed us for 3 months rent. We had to evict them, and I can just go on.
I have a question. What happened to the car that you bought that guy? Did you ever get it fixed?
The saga continues, so I was going to sell the Camaro this weekend. I have a backup Camaro that it runs but needs work. It's a red one. I call it the Red Robin, and then the black one is the Black Batmobile. So the Robin, I'm going to sell. I was supposed to sell it this weekend for about $800. If I can't, I've got a wrecker that will pick it up for $6. The lowest price is $3 if I drive it in, and then. I'm going to take the SUV, which has 2 cracked overhead cams in the engine. It's basically a useless piece of junk now because brother man ran it into the ground. He has that gift. So I'm going to tow it back to the parking spot where they wrecked Camaro is, and it will be a $22,000 paper clip storage facility. I'm just going to store all my junk in it because that's all I can do with it for right now. But we have a white brother staying with us, and he's thinking of fixing it up. For $6,000, he could pop an engine in, and he's got some kids, and that might work. So we'll see what God does.
So why do you want to sell? You don't want to sell the black Camaro, do you?
Well, the problem is I could sell it, but then I got to replace it. So I'm going to spend another, $6,000 or 10 to 10 for another car that I don't know what's wrong with it. So
well, did it pass the smog test?
No, I've done 2 replacements of the evap canister and valve, two separate times. So that's $3,000. I went to an electrician because they said go to a specialist. He spent $500. The trip light is still on, which once you have to clear the code to do the test. So I'm taking them back this week. If they can't fix it, they said they'll just do it for they'll send me off for free and refer me to the dealer. But even if the dealer costs me $1,000, I can't buy another car for $1,000. That's what I want. So I'm kind of at that position right now.
So why are you going on a trip when all this shit's going on?
Well, you got to go when it's hot. I mean, going to Vegas and we're going to D.C. and then going to New York City. We're preaching the gospel. We're doing conferences. My girl Chelsea, she had to stay in Vegas for a week because of the hurricane. She couldn't go out to Florida, Orlando. So she sold 50 ball caps that she custom makes for $40 a piece. That's $2,000 just sitting around sewing baseball caps. She saw my logos and she said, "You should have T-shirts in Vegas. You'll sell merch like it's water." So that's what we're going to do. And but the point is, I might end up doing like conferences, like they want me to speak here and go there and travel the world. So you gotta be fearless. Take a chance.
Okay, Don. I don't want you to have to sit through all this. So good night, everybody. Good luck with your car.
Don.
Good luck with your cars and your ministry. Bye, Don.
Yeah. Now, Don, is your ice cream vanilla or is it chocolate?
Vanilla.
See, he goes back to the...
Behave, John. Behave.
He's Millie Vanilla.
Bye.
Boy.
I